So let's begin making our big, beautiful truck bow. The first thing I'm going to do is put my wire. This is 26 gauge wire. It's pre-cut. This is just how it comes in the pack. I never use heavier wire than this because you just don't need to. You don't need to bulk up wire in the stack of your bow. And this just maneuvers quickly. It does its job. It holds everything in place. So never use anything heavier than 26 gauge wire. It just won't work well for you. So I'm going to put this right down between my dowels. And to start, if you would like, you can tuck the ends up. You can tuck the ends under if you would like. This bow maker has non-skid pads on the bottom, so the bow maker itself is not sitting flat on the table. It is I have a little room there, so I can stick my wire in. Okay, our first ribbon that we're going to use is our red linen. Beautiful, just beautiful ribbon. I'm going to cut on an angle. I'm going to cut that on an angle. And I want my tail to be about 18 inches long, and I'm going to use the board itself as my measurement. There's my 18, and there we go. I'm going to pinch, and I'm making a pretty little pinch. And I'm going to say this all through this video. If you do a pretty little gather instead of a fold over, everything just fluffs better at the end. You see, that's a fold over, and you kind of see what you get. And I'll be saying this all through this. You see how the pretty little pinch, I'm just taking that moment, and you see how that automatically just puffs up? It's just going to make your bow fluff prettier at the end if you do this at every step, okay? So let's sit this in here. I made a pretty little gather, okay? Now, I want my first loop to be 8 inches. This is a big bow, as you can see it as it's sitting on the wreath. So there you go. That's 8 inches. And so here's my pinch and my twist. And drop that down. Let's see, make sure I'm 8. Yep, that's exactly where I want it to be. Now, we're going to do this 3 times. Here's out to 8 inches. And here's my pinch and my twist. Just take a moment. Like I said to begin with, just take a moment to make sure that you're making a very pretty little pinch and twist. I've gotten calls on people using Sam's ribbon, and they said my bow just doesn't look like yours. That's because I'm just taking, well, there's going to be 2 reasons. That's because I'm just taking a moment. I'm just not squishing this down in here. I am making a pretty pinch, which is really kind of just, see how I'm just gliding my ribbon in here and I'm pushing it down? That's kind of making my gather, okay? Instead of like just folding over and just letting it fall anyway, that down in there, you can see that I'm just taking that extra moment and making a pretty, you see I'm just letting it glide in here, and I'm making a really pretty, I'm making sure that I have a very pretty pinch and twist. And then I push down hard. You want your bow to be all end up tight in the center. Your stack is going to be as tight as it possibly can be, and then that's what makes your loops just pop, okay? And I'm going to be saying that all through this because you can see I'm going to do a few different techniques. And let's see, I'm just not just pushing it down in there. That's forming a little gather. Let me get a little closer here. That is, whenever I'm pinching and twisting, I'm using both hands. I'm making a really nice pinch. Okay? And you see I can even take my fingers. I'm kind of fluffing my bow already. See how I just set my ribbon out? And you can see that starts that pop. It just makes your loops start popping. Okay? If you just take that extra moment, in the end your bow will be prettier than if you just slam this down in here just any old way. Okay, And there we are. I've done my 3 loops each way, getting my tail out the way, just bringing my tail down. And what I want to do now you can, this is just the technique that I use. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this, but I do, because I just, in my experience, I just think it makes the bow look prettier. Whenever I change ribbon, I tie it off. And let me try to get my hand out the way so you can see what I'm doing. You see this piece of wire? The wire that I laid down between my dowels? You take one piece, cross it. Like I said, this is awkward because I'm trying to keep my hands out the way. And then, oh, no, my hand's in the way. And then the other piece, like that. And you just cross them. You just cross it, and then you just tighten this up. Tighten that up really good, and just push down. You want to keep the stack of your bow just as tight as you possibly can. And now you have tied that together. This is just a technique that I use, and it has been my experience that the bow fluffs better at the end. I'm going to go ahead. You have to look down there, and then I'm going to cross this one more time, because I want this to be down in there just as tight as possible. And that's it. I'm going to take my piece of ribbon. I'm off camera. I know I'm off camera, but all I'm doing is taking my 2 tails and laying them together so I can get this one cut the same length. So there you go. That's what I did there. And that's our first ribbon. Our next ribbon, now we have a lot to talk about with our little tree ribbon. Okay, our next ribbon is our wonderful little trees. And when you talk about these little trees, just for a second. Now, if I just start as the ribbon is coming off the spool holder, and I start with my tail, then my trees will be going down in my bow. And then, like I said, is I'm using it rolling off the spool, my tails will be down on one side and up on the other. And I don't care for that. I want my trees going up on both sides. So how will I fix that? Very easily. I'm going to cut the ribbon. I am going to make this ribbon go in the direction I want it to be. Okay, so let's cut the tail. Our first one was 18. I'll cut it about that. We can always trim a little extra at the end. Okay, now look. I'm going to see how I've turned it around. Kind of go out just a little bit. See how I've turned my ribbon around? I am making this ribbon do what I want it to do. So all I did was just turn it around. Now, I am going to make a pretty little pinch, and I'm just going to sit it in the bow maker, and I'm going to wire it in. See how I just wired it in? Whenever I lift this, I want to make sure everything stays exactly where I put it. I don't want anything moving on me at all. And there it is. It is wired in place, and I just took that extra moment just to turn my ribbon around. Okay? So now, let's start using this ribbon. And we're just going to do the same thing. We're just going to wire this in, and we're going to just go on making our loops. Sit this in. I made a pretty little pinch, and I'm trying to keep my arm out the way. I'm going to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. Kind of awkward position. Okay, but you see how I just crossed it? I just crossed it in the center. You can, once is enough, really, but you can go again if you would like to, just for safety's sake. You can go around twice if you'd like. It's just up to you. But if you've cut your ribbon, I just suggest that you always wire it in. Now, after you've used your ribbon, your wire, after you've used it, make sure you leave it up and down, because you can easily get lost, in all your tails and everything. So just make sure you just leave it up and down. So here we go. We're ready to make our next loops. And we're also going to make 3. Our first loops was 8. I want these to be about 7.5. There's our 8, so there's about 7.5. So there we go. Let's begin. Let's begin making some loops. Again, pretty pinch. Don't just slam that down in there just any way. And you see how I've made sure, I'm kind of fluffing my bow already. See how I've made that? Instead of just like a fold over or just press it in anyway, it'll just, your bow is just going to have more volume and it's just going to fluff a lot prettier if you just take a moment. And you can see it only takes a moment just to sit that in the bow maker in a certain way. Okay? And I think it makes all the difference in the world. This is Sam's ribbon. It's not real expensive, but you can make it just work beautifully. Let's drop it in. There's my 8. Let's go to about 7.5. That's good. And you see, I'm sitting here in between my dowels, and I'm just giving it a pretty pinch and pushing it down. Okay? It's not a fold over. It's a pretty little pinch, and yeah, it's going to give me some good volume when I fluff. See? Just taking that moment. There you go. There's my pinch and my twist. Pretty pinch and twist. Push it down. There you go. Each time I'm just going to take that moment to make a pretty pinch and twist because I want my bow to just be beautiful at the end. Okay. Pinch and twist. There we go. And let's see, 3 loops. I want 3 loops on this ribbon also. Pinch and twist. And that's just kind of like, I'm just kind of fluffing as we go. That's kind of starting the fluffing process. Yeah, sure. And pinch and twist. And here we go. Look at that. I just think this makes all the difference in the world. Trees up, trees up. I don't have trees going down on one side and up at the other, and that's just how I like it to be. Everything going in the same direction. Okay, maybe you'll enjoy that little technique. Okay, I'm going to cut this ribbon, so I'm going to just take a moment and tie it off. Like I said, you don't have to do it this way. I just find that it fluffs better. It's just my experience, and I've tried this every way imaginable as you can imagine. And it's just my experience. I do believe it fluffs better if you do that. Okay, let's measure this out. I think I'm off camera. Okay, there we are. And I'm cutting it just about the same or just a tad different. Okay, there we are. And this is what we have so far to our great big beautiful bow. Let's see what's next. Our next is our plaid. I used this ribbon. I wanted to put just a little black in it. I'm only going to do 2 loops. You could do 1 if you would like. I did 2 because it's a big bow. But I just love how there's a lot of black all through, and black is so popular right now. So that's why I chose this. And I love the gold in it. And I think it's just going to be just a great balance between, because the truck is next, and I just really liked adding this black. But I'm just going to do 2 loops. Let's measure our tail. Let's see, there's the 18. All right, about you want it a little shorter. That's good. Using the board as my measurement. Pinch and twist. And there's my tail coming down. Okay. And this next, this is going to be around about 7. I did 8, 7.5. Now we're going to do 7. And here's our pinch and twist. And This is at 7. That's good. And there's our pinch and twist. See, I'm using the loop itself right now as my measurement. Right there. Just want those to be the same. There's my pinch and twist. Just taking that extra moment just to make sure I have a pretty pinch and twist. And I'm just sitting it in the bow maker. And just taking that extra moment to sit that loop in there really pretty. Measure it out. Here's my pinch and twist. And here's my tail coming down. And what am I going to do? Because I'm changing ribbon. Like I said, you don't have to, but this is just, you might like this this technique. I just think it makes the bow fluff prettier at the end. Every time I change ribbon, I wire it off. And my goodness, you can see how easy that is. And any little extra technique that's going to make your bow fluff beautifully at the end, I think you'll enjoy doing. Okay, you can see how poofy this is. See how poofy, how up the volume that I'm getting in my loop. It's because I've tied everything down so hard as I'm going. You're going to get a lot more volume that way. And how I've taken just that extra moment to just a pretty little pinch and twist at every spot. Okay? Here again, I'm using my tails. I'm off camera a little bit. You can see how I'm cutting that. There we go. Look at that. Look how beautiful our little bow's going to be. Yeah, this is very inexpensive. It's Sam's ribbon, but look how beautiful this is coming out. Look at that. And it's because I'm just taking this extra, look at the volume I'm getting in that. Okay, it's just going to come out beautiful. Just doing those little extra steps. Okay, our next ribbon is our truck. This is the star of our bow, the truck. Now, let's talk about this ribbon for a moment. If I just roll this ribbon off of the spool as it's coming, okay, again, it's the same thing that's going to happen. In my bow, I'm going to have trucks driving up and trucks driving down. I don't want that to happen. I want my trucks driving down both ways. So what will I do? How do I fix that? I just cut it. I just cut it, turn it around, and make it go in the direction I want, which will be this. See how I'm going to turn this around? Okay, I'm going to want my trucks driving down, and then they'll be driving down on the other side. I'm going to cut this. I want a nice flat edge because I don't want to bulk up my bow. Let's measure some off. Let's see, we're probably around 17 inches. So there's the 18. Let me cut it off about right there. It'll give me about 17 inches. I'm using my board as my measurement. Okay, and there's our little truck driving down. And I'm going to put a pretty little gather on the end. And I'm going to tie this in. Y'all, all I'm doing is making my ribbon do what I want it to do. And I'm making it go in the direction I want it to go. And look, it just, like I said before, just an extra moment and the ribbon is going to go in the direction I want it to go. Okay, so that's the tail on this side. We can, let's see, I'll go ahead and I'm going to put the tail, let's put the tail on the other side too. Okay, it was around 17 inches. Okay. And I'm going to ensure that I have trucks down and down, and that's what I want. I'm going to gather this up, sit it in, and wire it in. And I'm going to do that twice, just for safety's sake. Once probably would have been enough, but I just did it twice. Okay, truck's going down, just like I want. Okay, now, the next thing is that I want to ensure, if I use this ribbon exactly as it spools off, what will happen, we all know in bow making, is about the twist. So I would have to pinch and twist, and then pinch and twist, and what's going to happen? My trucks are going to be upside down. If I pinch and twist as it's rolling off, I'll have trucks driving in at any, you might just catch, this truck might be way over here, and then this is what I'm going to get at the end of my loop. I don't want that. This is two things I'm trying to accomplish here. I want the whole effect of my truck. I bought the ribbon now, it's the truck ribbon. So I want my trucks to show where I want it to. I don't want my trucks to fall just any way they fall within the loop, and I don't want them upside down on the other side. Again, I'm going to cut this ribbon and make it do exactly what I want it to do. Okay? And I'm choosing, right now, I'm going to choose that this is what I want. In my loop, I'm going to catch this truck coming around this loop. Okay? So let's see how much I want. This was 7, so I'm going to go about to, let's see, that was 7, so I'm going to go about 6.5. See my bow, I'm using this as my measurement. There's my 6.5. Come to the center. Okay, I have placed my truck. There's my 6.5. That's how long my loop needs to be. You can see here, this is where it goes through the two dowels. And I want to leave myself, you see from the underneath, look, this is all the ribbon I'm going to lose, because I'm going to cut this off about right here. I'm going to give myself about 1/2 inch to go through the dowel. There's my measurement. And I'm going to cut it. Now, this is all I lost by placing. That's all I lost. Not worried about that. Okay? Now, all we have to do, this was our measurement, so let's find where our little truck is here, because I want my loops to be exactly the same. And look, I'm going to fudge just a hair, because look, see, look, we're right, I'm not going to lose anything. Okay? So, laying that on there, and then I'm putting 2 loops on this side, 2 loops on this side. So here I'm cutting my ribbon, and here are my 2 loops. Here are my 2 loops. Now, this is another little technique I've discovered with using this ribbon. This particular ribbon, and y'all, for Sam's ribbon, this is a very nice quality ribbon. And it's a little stiff, okay? It's stiff. And so what I'm going to do, instead of putting, I could do this. I could put them one right on top of the other and pinch them together, which you can do this either way. You can just pinch them together, but then whenever you open them, like I said, this is just a little technique that I discovered. When you open them on a heavy ribbon like this, then you're pulling them apart. On a heavy ribbon, this is stiff. It's very stiff with this particular ribbon. What I discovered, because I've made this particular bow just over and over, what I discovered is if I put, and you have enough room in here, okay? You have enough room to do this. I'm going to pinch and twist this loop and sit it in, and I'm within the space between the dowels. I think you can see that. You see that space there? Within that space, y'all, I have enough. Look, I'm pinching that really hard, and I'm pinching that and getting up out the way. And now I'm going to take this one, and I'm putting them almost side by side instead of one on top of the other. Like I said, y'all, I've made this bow a gazillion times, and I just kind of discovered this with this particular ribbon. Y'all, there's just all kind of techniques, all tiny little tips that you find out and you figure out with different particular ribbon. And I just found that doing this way and putting them in almost side by side, and it fits, it overlaps a tad. I think you can see how well that this is going to fluff. by just taking that extra moment and just sitting them in there almost side by side. And like I said, this is just something I kind of discovered. I always try to show you that all the extra little tips that you can possibly find that's just going to make your bow be absolutely fabulous. And look at this. You see how they both, look at this. Look at the volume. This is all about getting volume on your loop and it opening. You want your bows to open to the dead center. Okay? Truck, look where my truck is. Look where my truck is. I have put my trucks where I want them to be. And incredibly easy to do. Okay? Now, let's make our trucks be where we want them to be on the other side. Let's see. Where's my trucks going to be? Okay, I need about 6.5 inches. And you see, if I had used this ribbon just rolling off as it comes, then what would whenever you saw the loop, all I would be catching is the end of my trees. I wouldn't be catching my truck at all. And I don't want that. I bought this ribbon just because I want to see all these trucks. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm just going to move over, move down a little, and just position this. Now you see how I'm getting the full effect of my truck? I want to see my whole truck. Measure it at about 6.5. Bring it to the center dowel. Here's the center dowel. Give yourself about 1/2 inch. You don't need any more than that because we're tying it in. And look, this is all I have lost in doing that. And I think it's well worth it. My goodness, who would care about that? Okay? Now, you're going to take this because I want my trucks to look exactly the same. Let's see, I'm going to have to go to this next truck to get my loop to be the same. But look, this is all I'm going to lose on the cut. And I just think it's well worth it. Let's get that out the way. Cut my loop. And here we go. I'm going to do the same thing, fold it over. There's about my 6.5. I'm going to make a pretty pinch, not a fold over, a pretty pinch. See, if I just folded it over, that's what I would get. You see that? I'm not getting any volume there. Look at the difference. See the pretty pinch? Look at the difference. When you open it, see the volume that creates? Look at that. See the loop it creates? And that's what you want. Okay, again on this side, I'm going to set this in here and I'm going to push it out the way. I have a little room in there. I'm smashing this all the way up and I'm doing this because this ribbon is kind of stiff. And I just played with this and I just found that the bow fluffed just a little bit better doing this. There's my pinch. You don't have to do it this way. This is just a little extra tip I just found with playing with this ribbon. It just came out just a tad better. And anything that we can do, like I said, that's my job, is to show y'all any little extra thing, any little tip that I can show you, I will. Push it down in there, and I'm going to turn this twice. I want that to really stay in place. Back and forth. There you go. And I'm going to trim this back just a tad because we don't want this to show at all. I'm just going to trim it back just a tad. It's well tied in there at this point. There we go. We don't want that to show. Now look at this. Look how pretty this. Look at the volume I have. And look at my trucks. Truck, 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 and everything's right side up. No wrecked trucks, no wheels in the air, no trees falling out the bottom. I think it's well worth just that little bit extra time to get my trucks placed just where I want them and nothing upside down. Okay? Now, we're almost done. Let's go We're going to finish off with our little 1.5 inch. Has a little shine to it, and if y'all follow me at all, y'all know I'm going to use anything that has a little shine to it. Let's measure about 16 inches. Let's use our board for our measurement. Yep, there we go, about 16 inches. Let's drop this in here. There's our pinch and twist. Sit it down. And I just want one little loop for the center. Okay, that's good. That's good. This is just this little loop is just to finish off my center. Look, I'm just going to pinch and twist, and it's perfectly okay that they both come down on the same side. Makes no difference at all. And I'm just going to come with my wire them both in. Come on, little wire. And see there, y'all, this was an 18-inch pre-cut piece of wire, and it's just enough. I don't like using any more wire than I have to. I don't like it cut real long and just have wire flying all over the place. So you see how I've just laid that in there, and I've tied it off, and because this is the last one, I'm going to go around one more time just for safety's sake. I guess you don't have to, but I'm going to give that a try. Okay, and that's it. Let's cut our tail. And our bow is done. Our bow is done. Look at our great big beautiful bow. Our bow is done. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to fluff a little before I take it off of the bow maker. Let's fluff a little. Let's see how beautiful our bow has turned out. And I'm going to start from the bottom. See our red linen? Let's start pulling our, we're going to have all of our tails. Let's get that out the way. So I'm going to sling this around. I want you to really see. There's all the tails going down that way. Here's these tails. Okay. Yeah, once I get this onto the wreath, of course, you're going to fluff some more, but let's start here. Let's get a little fluffing done because I just want you to see. Because I can use my 2 hands here and start pulling my ribbon around. And I just want y'all to see just how pretty this came out. Okay, there's my trees. There's my little trees. Let's just kind of pull this around. See how my bow maker is staying in place? Y'all, the 4-in-1 has some good weight to it. Okay, it has good weight to it. It's 24 inches long, so it has some good weight to it, and it does have the non-skid pads on the bottom. That helps it from moving around on you. As you saw, as I was making this bow, you didn't see this. You weren't fighting it. You weren't chasing your bow maker around the table. This has some good weight to it, and it has the non-skid pads, so I think you'll enjoy that. Okay, look at this. Now look at the volume I'm getting. Look at that. Look how just woof my loops did. That's because I wired them as I went, and I just didn't haphazardly put them between the dowels. Just that momentary little extra, and look at the volume. Look at this. Look how beautiful. And that's why this bow, it just sat so beautifully in my wreath. Look at this, how pretty. Let's do this side. Okay, starting from the bottom. You can start from the top of the bottom, it doesn't matter. I usually start from the bottom. Okay. Look at this, how pretty. Fluffing just so easy. My goodness, we have a lot of traffic today. Y'all, I'm at my warehouse, and there's a quite a busy street right in front of us. I know you can hear all those trucks passing. We're in a warehouse district. Okay. A lot of traffic today. Okay. And then there's going to be my center. Okay. We're going to have to flip this again, of course, once we get it on the wreath, because I'm about to flip this thing upside down. But I wanted you to see this as it was sitting on the bow maker. Look at this. Look at the volume that I've been able to create. And that's because I have wired this at every point. I've tried this over and over. And y'all, this is very inexpensive Sam's ribbon. But look how beautiful it did. And that's because of the techniques that I used in making it. And what I want you to notice, especially notice, let's look up close. You cannot see in the bow where I made all those cuts. Can't see them. Okay? You can see just a tad of that cut right there. But whenever I take it off, and look at this. Look at this. I've taken it off of the bow maker now, and look, I don't have to worry about anything moving on me, my bow falling apart, or struggling in making sure that nothing falls or moves out of place. And that's another reason why I just love wiring as I go. Okay, so now what am I going to do with that little piece of wire? See my little piece of wire that I used to make it? See the little piece of wire? All I'm going to do is just take and pull that around to the back. That's all I'm going to do with it. I'm going to just pull this around to the back. And now I'm going to prepare the bow to put on my wreath. And what I want to do to cover up all this center is I'm just going to open my little loop. See how I've opened? I've just opened the little loop. I've pulled those tails down. See how my little tails are going to go? This just, y'all, this is just in the how to fluff it. Okay? See how I've opened my loop? And that's just going to be my center loop to my bow. And it's just, and I'm going to turn it sideways like this. Okay? You could have put 2 loops. You could put more than, however many loops you want in the center. In this particular bow, I just wanted the 1. Because I wanted you to see that you could really cut this ribbon up and it not show. Now, what I'm going to add, because I used only 26 gauge wire to make this bow, and I'm going to put this on a wreath. So let me show you how I'm going to prepare this, because that 26 gauge wire there for this big a wreath just wouldn't be enough. So I'm going to use this black pipe cleaner, and I'm going to stick it through the loop. I'm going to go through the loop. Okay, this is going to I wouldn't go down the side. I'm going to go through. It's going to help set that loop and make sure that it stays open. And see how I'm just pulling this? I'm working it around. There's my little piece of wire. You could clip it off if you want to, but it's this piece of wire, your little wire. See, I'm putting my pipe cleaner right on top of it. You could clip it off if you'd want, but I don't. I just leave it because you can't see it anyway. And now I'm just twisting this. And now I'm going to prepare this to put this on my wreath. So, look, I've taken 2 pipe cleaners, and I'm going to lay them there, and then again just tie them in. And this bow is now prepared to put in my wreath. Just go around a couple of times. These 2 other pieces, just wrap them around. Y'all, it doesn't matter how much you bulk this up in the bottom now, because it's going to give you some lift so that your bow just doesn't sink too far into your wreath. So this is fine. You can just kind of keep twirling this around all you want to. I think I've done that enough. You can just leave it out. It's not going to show. You can roll it up if you'd like. Anything that you want to do, however you feel good about it, because it's not going to show. And that's just going to sit in the bottom of my bow. Here is my 2 pipe cleaners to attach into my wreath. Now, of course, I would fluff more as I'm putting this in my wreath. but I'm going to put this on my fluff box. Here's my fluff box, because this is a bow making. This was not wreath making, so of course I want to finish with this bow looking as beautiful as it possibly can. Like I said, I would finish fluffing this once I get it in the wreath, but I'm just showing you how to make the bow, so I'm going to put it on my fluff box so you can just see how pretty. I want y'all to see just this is just pretty as it possibly can be. Okay, and see the lift I'm getting there? Lift, you're starting from the center, okay? See that lift? Look how pretty this comes out. Look at this. And there's our bow. Just kind of placing this around again. I just want y'all to see, to finish this up, I want you to see how pretty it is. Like I said, I would finish this in my wreath. Let's see, let's put this here. Just kind of play with it. Y'all, if y'all follow me and watch any of my other videos, y'all know I just foo-foo and foo-foo. I could just play with this forever. I never seem to know when to stop. But I sure want y'all to see just how pretty this is going to come out. I hope you'll enjoy these extra little tips that I've shown you. I hope y'all will enjoy that. And get, because I've gotten so many comments on this particular little bow about how did I get it to be so big and look like it has so much volume. Because so many people, they were like, I bought that ribbon, I know you got it from Sam's, how did you get your bow to come out that way? So there's the little tips, and I hope you'll enjoy that. And see there we go, just fluffing. And what I want you, why I'm taking this extra moment and why I'm still with you, because I want to get this fluffed up and I'm going to hold it up. And what I really want you to see is that you cannot see in this bow all of the cuts that I made. You just can't see them. And I want you to feel very comfortable knowing that you can cut your ribbon up and you won't be able to see it. And there we go. There we go. And there's that big, beautiful bow made out of Sam's ribbon. Tons of volume. Trucks going in the direction that I want them to be. Let's see where our trucks are. See the truck going down on this side, truck going down on that side. That's because I cut it. Trees going up on this side. Trees going up on this side. And that's because I cut the ribbon. I made the ribbon do what I want it to do. And as you can see, you just cannot see any of those cuts that I've made to this ribbon. And I want you to feel very comfortable that you can just cut it up, make your ribbon do what you want it to do, and go in the directions that you want it to be. I hope y'all have enjoyed this. Please follow me on Facebook. Thank y'all so very much. So, there we are. There is our big, beautiful truck and tree bow sitting in our big, beautiful wreath. Our trucks, you can see the trucks perfectly. Nothing's upside down. And my trees are going up. My trucks are driving down. Just a beautiful bow. I hope that you will enjoy this. I hope you might try out some of these techniques and make big, beautiful bows. And everything going in the direction that you would like it to. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you'll really enjoy this. Bye-bye for now.